Freelancing for me, it's a way of making my living.
My name is Amber Perez, freelancer, video editor, and camera op.
My name is Chuck Rosina. I'm an audio for video freelancer.
My name is Matt Hitchborn. When I graduate in the next couple of weeks, I'll be a full-on freelance photographer.
I'm from Venezuela.
I grew up in New York City.
I was born in Los Angeles, California.
Always kind of was fascinated with media and audio and music.
When I came to Boston, I started out as a graphic design major.
I started my career back in 2006 when I finished my college in Caracas.
So from there, I just kind of went with the flow and see where life would take me. Took me to a photo class. Took the photo class, instantly fell in love with it.
But didn't make my living at it until into my 30s, actually.
Networking, I think, is the most important way you can get into freelancing. Meeting people, it's key.
I got into freelancing when I had posted up a session I had done for my friend back home on Facebook.
I was kind of pushed into it in a way because my first real job was at the Massachusetts Corporation for Educational Telecommunications.
Being nice to people, letting people know that you're really good, that you're really talented, that you can get it done on time and it's gonna look great.
And an audio teacher at AI by the name of Barry Marshall, he recommended I go talk to John Crivet, who is the current AES president. I became the event photographer for it.
Worked as a staff audio person. They had 2 staff audio people. It was me and my wife. That was also a conveniency. Due to budget cuts, they laid off some crew people and they laid both of us off over the summer of 1997. Then came the fall of 1997. They were still doing programs, but wow, we've laid off both our audio people. How are we going to do programs without audio? Well, we have to hire them as freelancers. So I started working, doing the same job as essentially doing, but now as a freelancer.
It's freedom to create, it's freedom to do.
It is not something for the faint of heart. You have to be incredibly self-motivated.
You have to have a little bit of a drive, especially in the beginning when you're first getting started, because you have to build up a clientele base. It does involve networking and who you know and that kind of thing does help.
You need to keep in mind a few things, like there's no such thing as steady income.
There is nobody that is going to just randomly call me every couple of weeks when I need more money or a new gig saying, we need you.
Anyone can become a freelancing as long as you know what you're doing and you're confident.
You have to be an incredible people person, great at marketing.
It's a lot of networking. There are 3 different camera people that call upon me when they get their gigs and they need an audio person.
If you're lacking in any one of these things, freelancing is just not going to work out for you.
Like my other good freelancer friend Michael Wilson says, the most important you get out of one job is the next.
I've gotten to a point now where I have been getting a lot of calls and I'm able to follow up on them, and it keeps leading to more and more work. People who do different forms of media such as video, audio. I talk to different wedding planners or wedding coordinators.
All these different people calling gets me, I want to say on average 2 to 3 days of work a week, which is not a lot, but it's not a little. And it's enough that I certainly meet my expenses and keeps me going okay. And that's the roughness of freelancing. You get the yin and the yang, as it were.
The best season for doing photo freelance is the summer.
Summer.
Fall and the spring.
Everybody tends to be more active when the weather is warmer. So there are more concerts, more festivals, more weddings.
Corporate work tends to happen a lot in the fall and the spring.
And that is definitely my best time of year.
So far, of course, every summer I found myself like a lot busier than the rest of the year. But luckily for me, since I graduated, that's been changing a little.
Even in the winter, but around the holidays it certainly tapers off, and over the summer it kind of tapers off. Sports is fairly continuous. In the summer you got baseball, in the fall you got football, and in the winter you got basketball and hockey, which goes into the spring, and then baseball comes back. So that's sort of year round, and I was doing that for a little while.
And hopefully I'm gonna take this to the next level until the point that there's no such thing as seasons for me. It's just constant work throughout the entire year.
When you're a freelancer, you're always on the clock, always responding to any sort of request that might come up.
In freelancing, there's definitely no such thing as free nights.
Every holiday, every weekend, I'm always booked.
I can edit like overnight. I have worked I don't know how many Sundays in my life.
Work does happen 24/7, and I do find myself working evenings. I do find myself working weekends.
Equipment that I shoot with and use on a regular basis is my own.
I only own a computer.
I own my own gear.
Every once in a while, there are certain gigs that will require a different set of equipment, and so I will rent it.
After getting laid off from MCET back in 1997, I invested a couple of $1,000s in a Shure FP33 field mixer, nice boom pole and mic, and a couple of wireless lavs. I used that gear for many years, in fact still using it.
So how do I manage myself to shoot and edit and do all that? Again, the word is networking.
My rate varies quite widely depending on what the job is and who the client is and what the budget is.
I did a lot of stuff for free at the beginning, and I still do a lot of stuff for free.
On E&G shoots, I'm paid like $475 with my gear, which is based on a 10-hour day. But sometimes the days are shorter, and it's day rate, so it is what it is, and that's nice.
Once I shot with 3 cameras by myself, cut it, and I did all that for $250, and the guy still owes me $100. So that gives you an idea of the things you have to go through when you are a beginner freelancer.
Other companies have their own gear, so they want to hire me without my gear, so okay, then it's a little less, because I'm not charging for my gear.
Freelance income is never steady. Unfortunately, my clients pay me a variety of different amounts at different times. So, for instance, one of my clients pays me 45 days after I invoice them. Other clients, I'll leave that day with a check.
Can you make a living as a freelancer?
You can definitely make a living out of it. You just need to find cool projects that keep you busy and happy.
Well, I certainly am. It's working out for me. It's nice to have a couple of steady clients that keep you relatively employed, even part-time.
My biggest name clients would probably be the Boston Bruins and Harvard University. So I've been doing corporate headshots for their law graduate students. The Boston Bruins, I am their go-to event photographer.
The longest time I've been out of work
Really, really, really long time.
without anything at all.
And that's definitely it's the biggest con of freelancing.
It'll range from a couple days to, sometimes I've got one gig planned for December right now.
I can't say it's been more than a couple of weeks. It's hard to really think of a time that I was just not working at all, because as a freelancer, there's always something that comes up, even in the slow times.
Sometimes when you're trying to get out there and make a name, it takes time, it's not gonna happen overnight. So that time that it takes you to get to the point that you get gigs all the time, that's like a really dark time. It is. It's a really dark time.
I keep my clients happy by going above and beyond,
Always being on time,
regularly checking in,
I get it done in time.
having positive attitude.
making sure that they have everything they need to be happy.
If the final product looks professional, it doesn't have any kind of issues, and you're like a very serious and responsible guy, then they'll be happy.
Even if you disagree with something that's proposed, well, you can express disagreement, but but don't do it in a negative way.
So I've been published in the Boston Globe, the Patriot Ledger, USA Hockey Magazine, Vintage Guitar Magazine, and so they all have credits given to me.
I did color correction once for free for this 20-minute long narrative film. That got me an IMDb credit. I'm working on an indie film, low budget, but it's a feature length. So that's also gonna get me somehow to that IMDb page.
It's so cool when you see something like that, like that's my photograph, and it just went out to 100,000 people.
As a freelancer, regular clients like AI or BNN TV, they pay me on a regular basis. I'm in their payroll system. They take taxes out of the check, so I pay taxes on those. While other clients I invoice them, they write me out a flat bill a flat check for the amount I invoiced them. And I, at times, have had to pay quarterly. Actually, set up an account where I send the IRS several $100s every quarter. It's tough to do, but If you don't do that, then the end of the year, you really get hammered.
4% on Medicare out of my checks that I have to pay. That's 12% on Social Security that I have to pay because all my clients treat me as W-9s or 1099s, so they don't pay anything. It all comes out of my pocket.
Staying as a freelancing, it's been in my head like a lot recently.
I have no desire for a 9-to-5 job whatsoever. I love being able to sit down on a Wednesday and say, this is my day off.
I'm not sure about the steady job, and it's definitely something I'm not wishing like crazy right now.
What's nice about freelancing is there's a lot of write-off possibilities for you.
Instead of saving gas receipts and toll receipts, you just take the mileage for the gig and you charge 56 cents a mile as a tax deduction. If you're out on a gig and have to buy your meal, you save your meal receipt and you claim that as a tax deduction. Of course, any equipment you buy, that's all tax deductible because it's for the business. So it's important to save receipts and keep track of all those things.
Horror stories.
$200 for a music video. Okay, I have no money, I'll take it. That sounds great. The music video was due 24 hours after I got the call. They show up at my place. I'm like, okay, well, I need one of you guys here so you can guide me through, and so you know what I'm working on, and you say yes or no. 6 guys here in the back of my head, they started fighting against each other with the time on screen. They were fighting. They wanted to be, no, now it's my turn to be on screen. Now it's my turn to be on screen. After 16, 20 hours of editing, I don't know, no sleep, not anything, they didn't pay the whole money.
My advice for anybody who wants to be a freelancer is know what you're getting into beforehand.
I've been around long before websites were in vogue, and I guess I've got enough networking that I'm content with what I got. So, but for a newcomer, a website would be a good thing to have, and a demo reel, for sure.
So if you're not working with a client on a given day, you're working for yourself. You're making sure your website is up to date. You're making sure you're tracking down new leads. You're completing older work. You are doing whatever you can to make sure you stay alive.